This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. It is another episode of Party Loaded, episode 191 to be precise. That is certainly a number. And speaking of numbers, we got a number of people here to join the team tonight. My name's Luke Retallick. Joining me, we have the trio of gents. We've got Adrian Chia back on deck. How you doing, Adrian? What's going on?
Good evening, sickly listeners.
Yeah, no, the listeners aren't sickly. You're the one who's sickly. We got Matt, the Game Dad Diet, and we got Christian Paulson Brown. Guys, welcome back.
Yo. We have become one.
That's it, yeah. I only separate the one of us that wasn't here last week. Adrian gets a little bit more attention because he has the time to catch up. So there you go.
He's in quarantine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, he's the separate bubble tonight. But
he's a bubble boy.
He's like in the human hamster ball.
Yeah. Sure. Yes, he is the
human hamster ball full of vomit.
Oh,
just rolling around.
That's like the worst shape to be in if you're going to be doing that. That's disgusting.
Well, after that disgusting introduction, I'd like to say it's good to be back, but I'm kind of regretting that now.
Jesus. All right. Well, let's switch gears fairly rapidly then and cut into some fully sick games. So, Adrian, what has been going on with the last week or so? What have you been playing? Anything cool?
Well, I did listen in on your discussion last week in regards to Fire Emblem. So obviously I did finish Fire Emblem Three Houses, and for the record, you guys were discussing playtime. I checked today and it was sitting at 45 hours. So I think I may have clocked a little less time than Christian in the end.
Yeah, I'm on 65 and I haven't finished yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows why that is? I mean, I may have spent less time doing sort of side battles and that kind of thing. I thought I had gotten squeezed the most out of the game, but who knows? But
playing it on public transport, do you think maybe that made a difference because you're trying to squeeze in more activity in shorter spaces of time, like in bursts? That could be a thing?
No, I don't think so. And I never really did play it on public transport, just between like uni classes and that kind of thing.
I think it might have been because from what we were chatting about, I recruited a lot more students.
Yeah.
So I have been spending more time sort of finishing all of their support, so that's probably costing some hours.
Because I remember you mentioning that you went after almost every other student, and I only went for like 4.
Yeah.
The most attractive waifus. So I kind of I went for laser precision and quality, while Christian just decided to fill his harem with trash. So
just threw a giant net and reeled them all in.
But it was good. It was fine. I agree with your thoughts last week on the combat system, Christian. How it's just way too easy and pretty boring later on. Like it really plateaus very quickly, the combat.
Yeah.
Which is probably a system of trying to make it more accessible to people, I imagine. But it was fine in the end. I enjoyed it. I didn't end up going back and immediately starting another playthrough because that thing happened where as soon as I run out of short-term goals, I immediately lose interest in a game. So instead, what I did is I went back through my Steam library, as I want to do when I have no money, and I may have mentioned that I fixed an issue with my PC recently, and I basically have a brand new spanking machine because for the last year or more, it turns out my PC has been docking me about 20 to 30 frames on most games that I play.
It must feel so good to have that happening.
It was like releasing a beast. It was like unshackling it. It was amazing.
Yeah, unleash the beast with your spanking machine and get those waifus involved. That's what
exactly. Yeah. It's all dirty. But I mentioned quite a number of months ago that I had picked up Sunset Overdrive and had been playing that, and I ended up dropping it because of the frame rate issue, because it was chugging when I was playing, and for a game that sort of epitomizes like quick, rapid movement and frantic action, it really killed it for me, and it just sort of hit me like a lightning bolt. I was like, oh my god, I can probably go back and play Sunset Overdrive and enjoy that again. So I did, and sure enough, the whole game just ran beautifully at like 90 frames pretty much the entire time that I played it. And boy, does that make the game way more enjoyable. It's just really, really fun, like blasting, like zipping around the city and blasting massive hordes of zombies and just having it buttery smooth the entire time. So I ended up putting in about 30 hours and finishing Sunset Overdrive, which was really good. The version that you can buy on Steam actually includes all the DLC and the pre-order weapons that you could have gotten at the time back when it was released on the Xbox One. So that was fun that those little things were included. It was a bit confusing though, because it's the kind of open world game where you can do that DLC at any given time. And so the markers were showing up on the map, and I didn't really understand what they were for quite a while. So the game isn't without its flaws. There's it has this strange like base defense mechanic that never really gets fully realized, and you do it a couple of times to sort of progress the story forward. But beyond that, it has almost no purpose. And you end up unlocking like almost a dozen of these like really wacky, cool traps to sort of place around your base in order to do these base defense modes. But then you never use them because you never end up doing that mode again. So that was a bit odd. Apart from that, obviously I'm a big fan, and it links sort of a bit to one of our news articles later. I'm a big fan of Insomniac, and I think they make really fantastic games. Particularly, they have a penchant for making games with lots of crazy guns, and guns that over time evolve, and the more you use them, they level up, and they tend to get even wackier and crazier. Unfortunately, that's a mechanic that was sort of missing from Sunset Overdrive. Although the guns are kind of quirky, they never evolve past what they do. So like when you use the gun at level 1, it shoots and behaves pretty much exactly the same way as it does at level 5, which was a bit disappointing for me because I had sort of anticipated that they might evolve and change. But in saying that, the only other thing I'd say about it is that I think it's actually a bit short. I think it could benefit from having like a bit more content in there, because you end up unlocking a massive array of weapons, which maybe makes up for the fact that they don't evolve, but you never really use them because you never want to go back and use like a weaker version of a weapon when you're already blasting stuff with like a level 5 gun. So
Sunset Overdrive was a PS4 launch window title, wasn't it? If I recall correctly.
Xbox. It was an exclusive for the Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Xbox One, yeah.
Yeah, it was an exclusive. And it's funny because there's a meta moment in one of the DLCs where you fight like a robot enemy, and he transports you inside your Xbox, and the character breaks the fourth wall constantly through the game. But in that sequence, keeps talking to the Xbox like you used to be able to. Like, Xbox, do this. And so your character does it. But it was funny because I'm playing it on the PC, so it's obviously like a tiny bit of oversight there. But
do you defeat him with the Red Ring of Death? That would be awesome.
No, not from memory. But I won't spoil it because it is quite a fun, unique boss that has a bit of a twist for anyone who ends up playing it. But yeah, good time. Sunset Overdrive. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's good.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So, Matt, what say we Voltronise our efforts tonight and chat about a game together? How does that sound?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you only have nice things to say in comparison to me.
We'll play good cop, bad cop, spaceman.
Yeah.
Cop. I don't know. However that works.
Space Cop. The
Space
Red
Cop.
Letter Medium
Space Cop.
terrible movie. Space Cop.
Yeah, hang on. I know Time Cop. Space Cop? What the hell kind of movie is that?
It's a YouTube thing. Red Letter Media.
Oh, okay. All right. Say no more. All right. So, No Man's Sky Beyond. We did that thing this week, and I've been playing pretty much that for a good part of the week. Although it actually did take me a number of days to finally dive into the VR side of things because I sort of jumped in on PS4 and just got exploring and got lazy and didn't plug all my PR shit in again. So, but I did get around to that. But opening impressions with it compared to No Man's Sky that I've played previously. So I have played No Man's Sky in big bursts probably about 3 times now, because each of one of the big updates they've had over the preceding sort of time since launch, I've dived in and checked out the changes and where it's at. And with a few things aside, which Matt will no doubt cover in great detail, I will say that I think there are a huge number of quality of life improvements in Beyond that don't even touch on the VR stuff. And a few things that have really stood out to me is, number one, one of the core mechanics with the new changes is this new social hub, which they I think they call it the Nexus, or the Nexus is part of the social hub at least. It's kind of the mission giver within the hub. The hub itself is actually part of a thing called the Anomaly. Now, the Anomaly is actually something that's been in No Man's Sky already, and for want of a better description, it's basically like a Unicron style planet that you fly into like a space station. And a couple of sort of main characters in No Man's Sky, alien explorers called Polo and Nada are in there, and they give you a whole bunch of extra sort of mission-y type things to do, and that's been in for a while. The big change that's happened now is that before the Anomaly was like, it appeared randomly in different systems, and it often took a while for you to actually encounter it again to sort of do the next steps on your quest sort of path. Now, you can summon the Anomaly. So once you get to that point in the quest progression, which is actually fairly early on, you can literally point at a spot in space while you're out in your ship. You can summon it into that area of space, and when you go in it, it's massively expanded, and it's this massive now new 32-player social hub, very similar to the Tower in Destiny. And so you can run around. There's a whole bunch of shops there for getting sort of new unlockables for, your exocraft, which are like your vehicles and things like that. Your suit, your Omni tool, your base building sort of templates, all this other cool stuff. And, you can do a whole bunch of research and sort of cache stuff that you've encountered in like flora and fauna in for credits and that sort of stuff. And Polo and Nada are still there to sort of progress the quest stuff as well. There's a whole bunch of things there I haven't explored yet either, but there are group missions that you can kick off, and they're really cool. Like I've seen and played a couple of them now. There's a couple of really sort of good dogfighty sort of spaceship combat ones where you take on fleets of pirates, and it's like a wave-based dogfighting space defense thing. And not only did I get to play that, but I played that in VR, which is just a whole other experience, which I'll talk about in a sec. But the hub itself looks freaking gorgeous. It is just like this Tron universe filled with cool-looking aliens, and the whole thing just looks mad. It's really fun. So big fan of that. I'm playing the game in normal mode compared to survival, which I've done previously, and I will say that normal seems to be a lot more enjoyable. It's a lot less grindy, and it doesn't really take a lot of the sort of danger out of the game. So it's still worthwhile in terms of the threat level, but it just takes less time to do stuff in a less obnoxious way. So it's really, really good. Now, the VR stuff is fucking great, to put it bluntly. I think it's got some limits in terms of the graphical side of things, because there is a fair bit of texture popping when I had the VR on. So it would occasionally sort of take you a second or two for the full texture to pop in when you're sort of moving around and looking at stuff. Not in a terrible way. It was just more noticeable than otherwise, but it didn't really kind of break the immersion for me too much. It was still fine. But the VR experience I tried with both the controller and also with the wands. Now, with the controller, it's very similar to sort of controlling regular No Man's Sky, but you can kind of toggle the camera view in like 45-degree panning angles, and you have the teleport sort of walking. Now, I did hear from somebody today that apparently you can actually switch that teleport walking over to regular sort of control stick walking, but I don't think the teleport's bad at all. I think it's actually quite good, and you can still use your jetpack to give you some vertical traversal, which is good. But the stuff that you can do with the wands in particular blew my mind. Like, they've actually done it in such a way that each of the wands represents your gloved hands in game, and you can sort of reach out and grip things and pull things and punch things, and all of the stuff with regards to your items and your menus is done in such a really cool immersive way. Like, to get your gun out, like your Omni tool or your multi tool or whatever you want to call it, the thing that you use to mine stuff and shoot stuff, you literally reach over into your backpack and pull it out. Like, you actually do the motion like that to pull it out with the wand. To turn the analysis scanner on your visor, you literally put your hand up to your head and press a button, so it's like you're tapping the visor on. When you are gathering certain types of resources, you literally reach out, grab it, and pull, and it sort of gathers it for you. Your melee attack is literally punching. When you're in your spaceship, like dogfighting in proper VR while you've got your gloves, you actually grip onto the control panels in the ship, and you grip onto your thrusters to sort of do your speed of traversal, and then you've got a control stick which does your 360 degree sort of panning. And man, dogfighting like that is fun as hell and really friggin' hard. It's super, super hard. It gave me back memories of like, this is going to super date me, but so be it. We already know where I sit in this
Sounds
crew.
like it would be crazy nauseating.
I think it's got the potential. Like, I'm thankfully one of those people when it comes to VR, and I think this comes from many, many years of doing shit to my eyes, like, reading and moving cars and things like that. I've never been affected by that kind of thing. I can guarantee there'll be people out there that are, for sure. So... But no, I was thankfully immune, but it was great. Oh, another really cool thing which I loved, like getting out of your spaceship, you've got these two big handles on either side of the control panel, which, as it turns out, are actually connected to your the blast shield on top of your cockpit. So you grip it and you lift it up and you pop yourself out of the cockpit. It's like lifting up the roof, essentially, and then you get yourself out. Just touches like that. Just takes it from a VR experience to a whole new level where you're literally interacting with everything in front of you in a way that makes sense to be interacting instead of, these conceited actions with buttons on controllers. So I think they've done such a fantastic job with the VR integration. I was very, very impressed. And I've been having a ton of fun. Matt's encountered some interesting stuff, though. And to be fair, a few of the things that he's seen, I have also seen, but he'll do a much better job and a much more entertaining job, I'm sure, explaining it. So...
Oh, yeah, like, I was just going to say, all of that sounds great. I wish I could fucking get to it.
Yeah.
So, I put 2 hours into the game, and 30 minutes of that was bug fixing.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. I loved, being inside of a game and having to open up Reddit to figure out why the fuck this quest isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. In the first 2 hours of a game. Really cool. Also really cool. Inventory management. Spending a lot of time doing that in the first 2 hours of the game. Love inventory management. It is probably my favorite thing to do in a game. Like, seriously, just give me a game where I only have one inventory slot but 50 items to hold, and it's the best fucking thing in the world.
Well,
why
Matt,
the hell
bug
is that
fixing
problem
aside,
not fixed?
Bug fixing aside, as far as inventory management goes, I have bad news for you. That is No Man's Sky.
But that was a known issue from the very start, and they identified that, right? Like, they acknowledged, the inventory is way too small, but have they changed it?
Yeah, it's way better than it used to be. One of the things that they've changed, which is a good quality of life improvement, is some of your upgrades to your exosuit and your tool. Before, actually to your ship as well, before you actually had to lock them into one of your inventory slots. Because they've actually got a thing where they synergize with each other. Like, if you've got an upgrade to, say, your combat blaster, like one of the other sort of ammo types or something like that, when you put that upgrade next to the blaster itself, it actually has like a synergy bonus that it gives it. So when you use that grid, location matters when it comes to putting those upgrades in. And one of the problems that used to occur is that once you put the upgrade in, it was locked in and you couldn't do anything about it unless you deconstructed it and got all resources back. But now you can actually remove it and reposition it. So it's made that a bit easier with regards to using that space. But what you're talking about is basic sort of resource stuff. So yeah,
the whole point basically being the very start of the game, you just have no space. Like, ironic in a space-based game, but you have none. I just found myself super, super annoyed. It kind of reminds me of when Destiny first came out. Everybody complained about the lack of vault space and the lack of inventory space. But over the years, they have dramatically improved that. And now, like, I've never hit the vault space limit, but that's not changed with No Man's Sky. Like, the inventory looks very, very much the same as what I remember when I first played it the very first time. And it's as frustrating now as it was then. And I'm sure, like, with upgrades and everything, that'll improve. And I know they've got multiple sources of upgrades and everything now. But it's still just a really, really unpleasant way to start your game off. Like, just constantly being in that inventory menu.
There's a couple of tricks to it which I can probably share with you afterwards that might help things a little, like, in terms of strategy. But I think the big difference between this and Destiny as far as inventory goes is that with Destiny, it's a real barrier to everything fun about the game. Whereas I think with No Man's Sky, a lot of people go into it seeking the survival sort of test where inventory management is part of the challenge. So...
I'm sorry, but this is totally a barrier to my fun in the game.
Okay, fair.
Because I'm having to sit there constantly. Okay, look, I've got this much space in my ship and I've got this much space in my inventory, but this is a really valuable item. I don't want to destroy it, but I might have to if I want to progress this quest. Like, it's really silly. And just the whole, like, the bug that I got was just so dumb that it's just really kind of put me off after that first 2 hours. Like, I was really close to returning it. But I know that what's after this dumb shit in the first 2 hours does get better, but that's just like coming at it critically. If that's the point at which you're trying to sell people on sticking around in the game, it's a really bad first impression. And like, so I can turn around and say that's shit, you know? I know that the rest of the game can be really, really good, but if the first 2 hours are garbage, then, you know, every other gamer that's not going to give it the time of day is just going to return it. And it just feels like that's something they need to fix really early, right?
These are things that have just popped up with this update, though. Like, they're not things that have been in the game prior to this point. So I think it'll be a temporary thing. I really do.
The inventory management is definitely something that's been there since the start.
That aside, the bugs with like some of the mission pathing and that kind of thing.
The bugs that are there for the missions and such, absolutely. That is just this most recent patch, but it's still something they need to fix.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, they to their credit, they have pushed out like about 7 patches in like the first sort of 3 days worth of release time. So they're on it. Like, they're putting a lot of time in trying to address things as quickly as they can. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, best case scenario is it's not there to begin with, but at the end of the day, if you've got issues, addressing them quickly and having open lines of communications with your players, I think is the best you can ask for. So
this isn't me saying the devs are lazy and doing a shit job. This is me saying, my God, my first 2 hours sucked.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Absolutely. So I experienced a couple of those issues too. Like, a couple of the quests, I had issues with the points that I needed to interact with, like usually NPCs that you have to do something with, were kind of appearing or not appearing depending on when I was grouped up with other people in game, like in a session. And I don't know if that's related to like it sort of reading where the other player is up to in their quest progression as opposed to where I'm up to. But yeah, they definitely need to fix that. There's a couple of things they should address pretty quickly. But yeah.
Well, speaking of bugs, I might jump in here. So last week I mentioned that I was embarking on my quest to mod my Nintendo Switch to run Android. And I can happily report back that I did so successfreen.
Nice.
With nary a bug to be found, really. Like, there are a couple of known bugs with doing it, like the way the touchscreen operates when you're running in Android. It doesn't have like a smoothing function, so it's a little too sensitive and almost too precise. Like, if you hover over the screen, it will detect a tap too eagerly, and it will detect like minor movements that you make where you take your finger a little bit off the screen. It'll count as like a double tap, like it thinks you're taking your finger all the way off the screen.
A lot of modern phones have that multi-layer pressure sensitivity when it comes to the tap integration as well, don't they? So that wouldn't be on the Switch, I assume.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, like, it's stuff that this Switch, the Nintendo OS has sorted out. Like, the Nintendo OS touchscreen is fine, but when it's running this modded version of Android, there are certain like core functions that they haven't been able to like get working yet. Like, even some simple stuff like the battery icon, it doesn't show if it's charging or not. Like, there's just like some simple like core functions that they haven't got working yet. But the whole like Google Play Store and all the apps and everything work fine, which is what you want it for. So I installed Hearthstone on it. I installed Netflix on it. Not a whole lot else. It was mostly an experiment in seeing if I can do it rather than like it actually being super practical. But it was just really, it was fun to go through the process, following it sort of carefully step by step, how to actually do it, and fiddling around with it. It was a fun little experience.
I think Netflix
expect Mario to come knocking on your door any day now.
Yes.
Yeah. Could be
like Netflix is would be good, but the one big catch for me at the moment is, in order to actually boot into Android, you need to inject like a little piece of software every time you do it. So you can't just turn it on and choose to boot into Android. You need to have another device like a PC, or you can get these little USB like injector sticks, and you need to actually like trigger it through a device. So you can't be out on the train and then just want to watch Netflix, which is the big catch at the moment. If they can make it so I can simply just toggle between them, that'd be fantastic. But at the moment, it's not too practical.
Yeah, you're using an SD card for this at the moment, aren't you? to do that.
Yeah, so the whole thing uses an SD card. That's core to the whole process is that it entirely runs off the SD card. So nothing is ever written to the Switch's internal memory. It doesn't. It's completely partitioned from the Switch's internal memory. What that also means though is that there can be some lag, like some like choppiness to the OS because it is reading and writing entirely from the SD card, and SD cards aren't really designed to use as an OS, so it can be a bit choppy.
But in theory, that also means that Nintendo can't ever prevent you from doing this with a software patch as well.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Yeah, it should be, and so far has been completely undetectable. In theory, it's undetectable, but technology, there might always be a surprise around the corner somehow that someone hasn't anticipated. But it's good because it means that you can freely keep your Switch up to date, like some other similar like homebrew endeavors, like with the 3DS. If you like hacked your 3DS, you could never update it's like software again, it's firmware again. Otherwise, you would be like locked out of it. But that's exempt from on the Switch, which is cool.
Nice.
But yeah, like I really expect that I'll use it much now that I've done it. So
yeah, you've ticked the box. You've gotten the achievement.
yeah.
You did the thing. Yeah. That's cool.
But as far as real gaming goes, I have just been playing more of Fire Emblem Three Houses. I think I'm near the end now. I think I'm just a couple of chapters away from the end, and I have reached that point where I want it to end now. Like I've pretty much had my fill, and I'd be happy to see the end of it. I do still love it. I think it's an amazing game, but I've had my fill, and I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
But I want to finish it. So
fair enough. Well, in the spirit of moving on, let's do the news.
Now it's time to hear some gaming news. Time for some gaming news.
All right. So in the news at the moment, Sony have gone and, well, let's put it this way. Insomniac has confirmed that they will never be an Epic Games exclusive. Instead, they're going to be a Sony exclusive. So they've actually been purchased by Sony.
What a headline. That's a great spin. I love that.
Well, I mean, they didn't make a statement about it. It's me just, twisting their words. So
I loved the hardtimes.net article where it was all the employees learning shockingly that they're not already owned by Sony.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was going to actually mention it when Adrian was talking about Sunset Overdrive, but that was Insomniac. And that's an Xbox game. Like... So, they've definitely done cross-platform stuff before. They've actually got VR games that they've been working on that are actually on Oculus, but not on the PS4 VR. Like, yeah, so now they're actually a Sony first-party studio, I suppose. They're owned by them.
In my mind, I have this vision of Sony as like a jealous partner in an open relationship where like Insomniac stepped out for the night and Sony's like, where are you going? And Insomniac's, I'm going to see Xbox. You told me it's okay. And Sony's like, and now they want to lock it down. They're like, no more open relationship. We're going monogamous. So.
We're going steady.
As long as it's consensual, and it sounds like it is.
Yeah.
But after how well Spider-Man sold, like it's really no surprise that this is the direction that things are going,
Two interesting observations from this that I've seen in the last couple of days. One is that one of the senior dev leads at Insomniac, I can't remember who it was, tweeted out that he thought one of the best things to come of this this new sort of acquisition is that he'll never have to explain what second party means to anybody ever again. So that's hilarious. And the other thing too, and I think this maybe could have been a bit of a clue that this was on the horizon, was Spider-Man on PS4 in particular seems to have really been the game at the forefront of a lot of the early comms we've had about the capabilities of the next generation PlayStation.
Yeah.
So it's like if they're using things like Spider-Man as an example of all of this new sort of, SSD. Yeah, SSD sort of style tech that's going to improve loading times and remove lag and all that sort of stuff, then that becomes like a pretty landmark front-facing game that Sony's using. That now it makes absolute sense that that's fully within their core umbrella. So yeah, it's good.
Absolutely.
Nice. All right. Well, we also had Gamescom that just sort of kicked off on the weekend, and been hearing lots of little bits and pieces of news out of that. I know that something caught Adrian's eye, and I'm really keen to hear about it. So, what?
Well, you may not be keen after I. All it is I seriously just saw like a trailer and a bit of news for this game called Disintegration, and it's like the one of the marketing tools is like from 1/9 of the left hand of one of the people who sneezed in the direction of Halo when it was originally when people gave a shit about Halo has something to do with this game. It's more like one half of the guys who made Halo are making it or some crap. And then there's like a cinematic trailer with Cade 6 and he rides a motorbike and I'm just like, fuck off. That's my news.
Is this a Destiny thing?
No, it's
a new game.
It's a new game called Disintegration.
Why'd you mention Cade 6 then?
Because he looks like Cade 6.
He does look like Cade 6. He's
a
like
robot
a robot
man. And he's talking about his motorbike as if we're meant to give a shit about him.
Yeah. Apparently his name is Roma. He's a robotic pilot of a grav cycle, which is like a...
Yeah, it's just basically another game where it's just all like Anthem meets Destiny meets Halo, and I'm just sick of it, and it can fuck off. That's it. That's the that's the news.
I'm surprised the like connection to devs wasn't a BioShock dev, because for a while after what was that studio called again? Closed down? It felt like
Remedy?
the BioShock devs were just flooding everywhere, and every project, every Kickstart had a BioShock dev on it somewhere.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah. Look, to be fair, the game is not a first-person looter shooter by the looks of it. From what I can tell, you actually pilot this, like, the motorcycle I'm talking about is like a gravity bike, and it seems to be that you fly around the battlefield shooting stuff in first person, and then you command a series of AI allies who move around the battlefield. So it's meant to be some kind of meld between RTS and FPS, which may have some sort of interesting components to it. The footage, from what I saw originally, doesn't impress me much. That don't impress me much. And the fact that the robot looks exactly like what are the robots called in Destiny? Droidicas?
The
Exo. Or Vex.
Roger. Okay, yeah. They whatever they are. The fact that this guy looks exactly like a robot out of Destiny, I was like, nah, no, I don't want that. So
yeah. The guy I had to look him up because Marcus Leto, he was actually the art director on Halo. And quite honestly, like, I'm a massive Halo fanboy, and I don't know if I've ever heard of him. So the whole, like, oh yeah, the Halo co-creator, and it just feels like this is kind of journalism spin, isn't it?
yeah.
So there's been a lot of that going on this week.
Yeah, I suppose maybe because I've had Sunset Overdrive pumping through my veins, maybe I've got a bit of like anti-authority sort of vibe going on, but I just feel like it's just more sort of brown and rusty and robot-y and blah.
Yeah.
Like dirty, like that kind of dirty future. It's got like a dirty future vibe, which I'm sort of not gelling with at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, if you don't feel great about Disintegration, how do you feel about the following three themes, Adrian? So, in order, how do you feel about growing mushrooms with urine? How do you feel about interdimensional breastfeeding? And how do you feel about babies that are just equipment?
Well, are these meant to be things I haven't already done, Luke? I don't understand.
All right, so it's not a Gamescom of recent years without some new reveals for Death Stranding, and Kojima is fucking Kojimering hard right now. My God, there's some weird shit being shown, but we've probably got a bit clearer idea of some of the core gameplay mechanics of Death Stranding now, which is good because this thing's only a few months out.
Extending ladders?
I think so. Like the open world traversal stuff. And they actually did show a screen where they show the strand mechanics about connecting up different areas in the map. So that sort of gave a bit more of an insight as to the main theme of the game, which is trying to connect areas of the United States again and sort of, you know, create that path across the country, which is where a lot of that sort of open world exploration and interaction with those different sort of characters comes. But we also get a bit more information about the sort of how the other side works, like this spirit realm that they've kind of got going on, and there's some stuff in there about how that baby that Norman Reedus' character
BB
Yeah, they're actually calling it BB, which I'm sure stands for Breach Baby. But it's kind of like his connection to the other side in like a protective manner. They actually had like a clip of the Guillermo del Toro mocapped character, who's not actually voiced by him, it's just mocapped by him, explaining, his name's Deadman, he's explaining some of the mechanics behind it and, how that baby is essentially just a piece of equipment that sort of wears out after a certain amount of time. So these sort of short character trailers dropped. They've done one with him, they've done one with the Mama character, which is the interdimensional breastfeeding thing, which is weird. Just check it out. It's, ghost baby being coddled anyway. And it turns out that Jeff Keighley of the Game Awards fame is actually in the game as well. So he has been mocapped as a character called the Ludens fan. Ludens, of course, being the mascot of the new Kojima Productions company. It's the skeletal sort of spaceman that you see on a lot of their iconography. And I'm sure that we'll get a bit more explanation as to who that is and how it factors into the game. But Jeff Keighley's character, Ludens fan, has actually been voiced by none other than Matt Mercer as well, of Critical Role and Overwatch fame. So, again, just fucking names everywhere. Like, just famous names in video games that are just popping all over the place in this fucking thing. So, it's going to be something when it comes out. I don't know what kind of something, but it's definitely going to be something. So,
I'm going to be entirely honest.
Yeah.
Like, the Gamescom announcements finally made this game jump the shark for me, and I have completely lost interest.
Now? I thought, man, It was way there earlier.
No, the pissing thing was just like, it's really like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
I'm sure it's somebody's kink. It's not mine.
Yeah. I'm keen because I know that it's just going to be batshit crazy, and I'm going in with that expectation.
What the fuck
weird,
is?
man.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the game? Okay, all this weird shit is cool and all, fine, but what the fuck is the game? Like, I'm really over it. I'm really over it.
I think this is a really good demonstration that you either are going to fall hard into one of two camps with this game.
Yeah.
I was hyped.
So. Yeah.
I was really actually excited for this to be my first Kojima game, but now it's just like, hey, we have more cool actors. Also, there's multiplayer pissing.
That's true, because he did mention that, Kojima mentioned that apparently the more players that pee in the same spot, apparently something good will happen, because there is some sort of online connectivity with this game.
Just like real life.
Yeah, exactly. So
the more players that piss in the same spot, the closer you get to San Francisco.
yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I think that even the peeing stuff is like, it is batshit crazy, no doubt, but it's not Rage 2, it's not Destiny 2, it's not Borderlands 3, it's something completely fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
And I'm still down for that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been so many great memes this week as well. Norman Peters, it just is one of my favorites. Yeah. I just love it. It's just meme hard, meme often. That's what I say.
Oh, jeez, Adrian.
Sorry,
if anything was going to push it too far, it's the Keighley thing, because I don't really like Jeff Keighley much in general. So seeing him in the game is kind of yuck to me. But
okay, look, the last time somebody was bragging about all these major actors they had in a game voice acting it, we got Destiny 1.
Which I'm a fan of that, how they did that, with the exception of maybe Dinklebot, but yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Like, but also, the game was so focused on that, it kind of lost track of what the game was. And quite frankly, we don't know what the fuck this game is. So I have my concerns that neither does Kojima.
No, he totally does.
No, he does. Because this is straight out. We're forgetting this is a guy who created a fake studio called Moby Dick Studios and did an interview with bandages on his face and just made up bullshit about Metal Gear Solid 5. And even Metal Gear Solid 2, he lied about what that game was until it released, and he showed doctored screenshots with a different protagonist.
That's great
awesome.
And all, but that's not a video game, Christian. I don't know if you've ever played one, but that's not a video game.
I think it's part of the hobby in a weird, abstract way.
What I'm saying is he's done all that shit, and all of his games I've enjoyed. That's what I'm saying, is that he does this stuff, and I love the games.
Yeah.
So
he's
still doing it, and I'm still going to love the game properly. So.
I suppose, speaking as somebody that is not a Kojima fanboy, I'm really, it's weird, but I enjoyed the weird. But I'm really over hearing about weird stuff and not hearing about the fucking game.
Here's the comparison for you. I actually think that Kojima is the Tarantino of the video game world.
Oh, okay. That's why I don't like him.
Yeah.
Just without the foot fetish.
Yeah, exactly. Well we
Instead,
don't know.
he's got a piss fetish.
Yeah.
Don't we all? I mean,
Just a wee bit. All right. Anyway.
oh god.
Oh, God. Okay, I'm quitting the podcast. Goodbye, everyone.
It's all right,
We
Matt.
don't have to wait too long,
we're
right?
Just, we're just taking the piss. It's fine.
It's out in like November, right? November? I
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. It's
Death
coming out real
Stranding.
soon.
So, yeah, it's pretty soon.
It's going to have to fight for attention from me from Doom, but that's the only thing it's got right against it at the moment, so we'll see.
What's it coming out on?
Everything?
PlayStation 4.
No, it's just PS4. It's just PS4.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
It's like funded by Sony.
Every time you say PS4, all I can hear is piss.
PS4? It's coming out on the PS4.
Yep.
Excellent.
All right. Well, Stadia did some stuff too, didn't they?
They kind of did. I wanted to briefly mention this. It's kind of also equally salty, like Adrian's salty. Oh god,
Like my pee.
That's what came into my mind before I can finish the sentence. So Google did have their Stadia Connect Gamescom 2019 live event. And all I wanted to say was basically the same thing that this Eurogamer article says about it, which is the subheading of their article is "It was nothing," and then the entirety of the article is "Seriously, it was nothing, absolutely nothing. Don't even bother reading this, just move on." Because it was a 35-minute presentation that contained no new information at all, and it was a complete waste of time.
Huh.
It was trailers for games that are coming to Stadia, most of which were already known, and all of the trailers had already been shown when the games first came out on their original platforms, with the exception of one that was Orcs Must Die 3, because that has been announced as a Stadia exclusive.
I like that series. I've played them.
I think it's great.
You can wait and not play Orcs Must Die 3 because Stadia is not coming out in Australia for a couple of years. So
Why you got to do me like that, Christian?
but yeah, like they had the Gods and Monsters trailer and Watch Dogs 2 and Borderlands 3. And it was 35 minutes of trailers we've already seen, and it was a big disappointment and it sucked. So yay.
Well, didn't they also mention that Cyberpunk is coming to Stadia? Because I don't think that was known beforehand either.
Okay, maybe that wasn't known before, but still, okay. Another game that is coming out elsewhere is also coming to Stadia. So an inferior version of that game will be playable in a couple of years if you have a good internet connection. So
yeah, Stadia just seems to have not really kind of worked out how to market themselves properly yet. Which, I certainly don't have the answers, but it's just weird at the moment. It's almost like remember that we're here kind of marketing.
Yeah. I think it's because all of the stuff that's been announced about Stadia since the initial reveal, it's all been worse news. Like when it was revealed, from my perspective, I was like, okay, at least it's going to be cheap. And they're like, no, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to buy your games. Like there's no, like, we're not giving your games away, like new games away as part of a subscription. I'm like, well, if I'm having to buy the games anyway, why would I ever buy it on Stadia? And it's like, oh, and it's only coming out in these regions. And really, we said that you can use it on any device, but at launch, it's only these two new Google phones. And it's just been like a steady drip of worse news as they've gone on. So
yes, Christian, a steady drip. I love it.
A steady drip.
God. I hate this episode so much.
I think it may be the best ever episode we've ever done, to be honest.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I was just going to say the presentation is probably live streamed somewhere.
But God.
Yeah. We can wrap on the news there. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So moving on from the news. So our main topic this week is actually going to be a quiz that's going to be hosted by myself, and I. It's called Christian's 10 out of 10 quiz because the theme of the quiz is 10 out of 10 games.
Ooh.
So games that have at some point been reviewed 10 out of 10. It's going to be pretty castral thing. I haven't asked you guys to prepare anything, so we're just kind of going in cold. What was you said at the start?
Going in dry.
Going in dry.
Sounds
We're
like
just going to
Matt
go in
really
dry.
wants to go in dry now. He's had enough of the wetness. So.
Yep. we are going to be on an honor system because at any time you could technically just Google these games and find out, what review scores they got or things like that. So just don't do that because that would defeat the purpose of the
I would
quiz.
never do that, Christian.
All right, so we're going to start off with just a quick warm-up game, and I call this the odd 10 out. So I'm gonna post 4 different games into our little shared document here, and I'll also read them out for the listeners. And I want you guys to have a look, and I want you to have a think and tell me which of these games didn't score a 10 from IGN. So these games are Super Mario Galaxy 2, The Witness, Monster Hunter World, and The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. So have a quick think. 3 of those games got a 10 out of 10 from IGN, and 1 of them didn't.
I'm pretty confident I know this one.
Pretty confident you know it?
Yeah.
What's The Witness?
What's The Witness?
That's
Okay.
that
know what that
puzzle
is.
game by Jonathan Blow that was a like you had the line puzzles on a whole bunch of panels. It was a really bright, lush kind of 3D environment. Fucking
Oh,
great
no, I
game.
have no idea.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I think
really
Adrian
good.
might not know that one.
No, okay.
All right, so we'll start with you, Adrian.
I think maybe they didn't give 10 out of 10 to Monster Hunter World.
Monster Hunter World. So Adrian's going for Monster
I
Hunter
just got a
World.
feeling. I got a vibe.
All right, Matt, which game do you think didn't get a 10 out of 10 from IGN here?
I'm actually also going to say Monster Hunter World, and not because Monster Hunter World is bad, but because of the fact that I could see IGN's writers not getting it.
Okay, Luke.
These guys are 100% correct, and I know it to be fact because I remember reading that review. So
All right, this was a good test for how this whole topic is going to shake out, I think, because you're all right. Monster Hunter World got a 9.5 from IGN, and Super Mario Galaxy 2, The Witness, and Skyward Sword all got 10 out of 10. So you've all proven that you know something when it comes to critical acclaim for these games. So we're going to move on to round 2, and this is a game that I call 2020 Vision. Now, I'm going to post 5 games in our little document. I will, of course, read them out as well. And 3 of these games from IGN, their review scores added up to 20.
ooh.
So 3 games add up to 20. I want you to all write next to the games the scores you think they were given and you make them add up to 20. So pick 3 of them. Say what you think they were scored by IGN, and it has to add up to 20, if that makes sense.
God.
And while you do that, I'm going to just vamp a little bit.
Is this
about-
including like 0.5 and 0.7?
No, all whole numbers.
They're all whole numbers. Okay,
So
all right.
every game was given a whole number score.
Okay.
Yeah, so 3 of them, they add up to 20. If you pick the 3 games, that's enough to get some points. But if you get the scores right as well, then that's extra credit. So yeah, while you do that, I'm going to vamp a little about 10 out of 10 games because there are some people who go, oh, no game can ever be a 10 out of 10 because there's no such thing as a perfect game. But that's just silly because I think anyone with half a brain knows that a 10 out of 10 game doesn't mean that the game is literally perfect. It just means that the game is like the epitome of what a game could be. Like it's a masterpiece of a game, some might say. And of course, it's completely subjective as well. So a lot of people will like criticize review outlets by going, well, how come you gave this game a 7 when this other, like the sequel that's objectively better, you gave a lower score or something like that. When in reality, it depends on the author as well. Like outlets aren't bound to always listen to every other review they've done on their own website. So people need to kind of chill sometimes when it comes to reviews. So I'll read out those games again for the listeners if they want to play along again. So it was, maybe I didn't even read them out. It's Grand Theft Auto 5, Medal of Honor Warfighter, Darksiders 3, Super Mario Maker, and Rage 2. So GTA 5, Medal of Honor Warfighter, Darksiders 3, and Super Mario Maker, and Rage 2.
This is really rough.
Really rough? Yeah.
It is hard as heck.
But hey, all 3 of you knew that Monster Hunter World didn't get a 10, so, you know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super recent though, and I think it was kind of notable at the time because there wasn't a lot of other games sort of big in the media at that one time. So
Also, I totally and utterly guessed. So.
Yeah.
So everyone's got their scores in now. So I'll just read out what you predicted and then reveal. So, Luke, why are you doing 4 games? It should only add up to.
Yeah, I thought
3.
we were listing what the scores we thought for each of them. So you only want me to put...
but
you only want me to put the 3 in that
need you
matter. Okay.
3 that add up to 20. 3 that add up to 20 is what you need.
In that case, I'm going to remove a couple of the big ones because I think that's going to throw the score well out.
So just take a second to quickly pick 3 that add up to 20. I'll read out Adrian's list. So Adrian reckons that IGN gave Darksiders 3 a 7 out of 10, Medal of Honor Warfighter a 4 out of 10, and Super Mario Maker a 9 out of 10. Matt also reckons Medal of Honor got a 4. But he reckons GTA 5 got a 10 and Rage 2 got a 6. And Luke, are you ready yet?
Yes.
Yep. So which 3, you got 4 games there, which 3 are that add up to 20?
Oh, we're only allowed to use 3. Sorry, I totally missed that. All right, in that case, fuck. Okay.
3 games add up to 20.
3 games add up to 20. God damn it. Well, maybe I've undershot on Warfighter, so... Oh, my God. This is tough. I'm going to have to remove Mario Maker because that's definitely scored too high. Okay, I'm going to take a guess that Medal of Honor Warfighter is one of them at 4, I'm going to predict.
Yeah.
Darksiders 5, I think maybe actually... Darksiders 3 actually, I think maybe got
Darksiders 5, yeah.
Got a 6.
A 6, yep.
I want to play Darksiders 5.
Yeah. Rage 2, I'm pretty
horseman.
confident got a 6 as well.
But that's that. You just need 3 that add up to 20, Luke. So get rid of Rage 2.
Fuck.
Luke, you can't math.
I know. I know.
Just delete Rage 2 and then pick another game that must have be a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Do you think GTA 5 was 10 out of 10?
No, I don't think GTA 5 was 10 out of 10. That's the problem.
All right.
I think maybe Mario Maker was close. So,
This is still IGN, right?
This is all IGN, yeah.
Yeah, come on, Luke.
all right, I'm gonna do some fucking creative
And they're
math.
all whole numbers, Luke. I said they're all whole
They have to be
numbers.
whole numbers. Fuck you.
Yes. No, I said that.
God damn it. All right, I reckon I've got the scores wrong, but the 3 I'm picking are Super Mario Maker, Warfighter, and Darksiders.
And they add up to 21. It's not blackjack, Luke.
I'm changing the numbers. Shut up.
All right.
There we go.
So Luke has gone for Warfighter was given a 5 out of 10, Darksiders 3 was given a 5 out of 10, and Super Mario Maker was given a 10 out of 10. And now I can now happily reveal that Adrian is dead on.
Oh, wow.
Completely and utterly. Darksiders 3 was given 7 out of 10, Medal of Honor Warfighter was 4 out of 10, and Mario Maker was 9 out of 10.
That's crazy. What is Medal of Honor Warfighter? I don't even know what it is.
It's a terrible Medal of Honor game from like 2010 or 11 or something. It was like, I think the last main entry in the Medal of Honor series, and it was
awesome.
it was bad.
That might be the best guess I've ever done ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was impressive. Matt, you were dead on with Medal of Honor getting a 4 and GTA getting a 10, but Rage 2 got an 8. So
What?
you were bust.
See, I actually thought that Rage 2 would have gotten a 7. I thought that I was undercutting, but an 8?
Yeah.
Really? See, this is my point, Luke. Like, IGN will always put their scores higher than you think.
Oh, it depends on who's reviewing. There's definitely a couple of people that I can trust not
That's
to do
true.
that. Yeah.
This was the problem they had with Monster Hunter, so...
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, I got the right games, just not the right scores.
Yes, you did get the right games, but not the right score. So you do get some points there, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. But Adrian gets double points because he got the scores right as well. So
Hooray.
hooray, meaningless points in a meaningless game.
Yay.
Luke should
Yay.
lose points for not knowing math.
Oh, shut up. No,
That
Christian
made the whole
could
segment.
just award me points and I wouldn't know what they mean.
Okay, so we're going to move into a game that is a simpler premise now, something that you have played before, and it is 20 questions. So you can probably guess that this is a game that somebody gave a 10 out of 10 to. I'm not going to say it was necessarily IGN in this case, but that's a big a head start you've got there for guessing the game.
Was it you? Did you give it a 10 out of
It
10?
could technically be. Don't make too many assumptions about what it could be. So we'll take turns having you guys asking questions. So we'll go Adrian, Matt, Luke. and you have 20 questions. I can only say yes, no, or maybe some other one-word answers if yes or no don't quite fit. And you can only actually guess the game a single time. So you all work together, and if you guess the game wrong, you lose instantly. So you want to save that till the end, or be really, really confident that you're guessing right. And yeah, 20 questions. Take it away, Adrian.
Is it a console exclusive?
Console exclusive, you mean like did it only come out on
One
Xbox
console.
or PS4?
Yeah. Yep.
No.
Okay. How much are we allowed to coordinate with each other, Christian?
You are to fully coordinate. You're working as a team against me.
Fantastic. All right. Do we want to ask if it was on PC?
I think there's a difference between console exclusive now and console exclusive at launch as well.
Well, I remember
there aren't that many that have changed, have they?
Oh, I think there's a few. Yeah.
I remember we had this discussion last time we did 20 questions about the whole console exclusivity thing.
Yeah, let's just pick a machine. Let's just use a couple of questions to work out what machine it was on.
Okay.
All right.
Go, Matt.
Was it on PC?
Yes.
Okay.
Certainly narrows it down. Because there's a lot of sort of high-scoring console games. PC probably less so. Is it a indie title?
No.
Okay.
Back to Adrian.
Was it released in the last year?
No.
Okay.
Matt.
So PC indie title, not a console exclusive, obviously.
It's not an indie title.
It's not an indie title.
Not an indie title. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant to say. And what did you just ask, Adrian?
Was it released in the last year?
In the last year. Okay.
So just remember, we didn't say PC exclusive. We said, is it on PC, which means it could be on PC and console.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was kind of figuring. Would it be defined as a classic?
A classic. That's a difficult question for me to answer, but I'm going to say no.
Okay.
So that's 5 questions.
God, we're screwing the pooch.
No, you're good. You're good. Luke, your next question.
All right. I feel that this is going to eliminate a few possibilities, so I'm just going to say, is it a platformer?
No.
Oh, that was a pregnant pause.
Yeah.
Have I played it? No, that's a bad question.
You can ask that if you want.
All right, have I played it?
To my knowledge, no.
That's a good question, actually. Because it really doesn't
Christian-
fucking help Matt and I.
I'm just going to waste...
Adrian, you can talk about which games you haven't played.
Yeah, please, Adrian, by all means, give us a complete
all
list.
day.
List them all.
I can list them in my Steam library.
Yeah. Matt, you're up.
I am very, very concerned that Christian has gone and picked some weird Japanese game.
That got 10 out of 10.
That got 10 out of 10 on IGN. Because that'd be a great punchline to this. Oh, God. Okay, you know what? I'm going to ask. Was it made in Japan?
Yes.
Oh!
Why am I not fucking
Alright,
surprised?
So it was made in Japan. It came out on PC. It wasn't a console exclusive. It's not an indie. I don't think Adrian's played it. And it didn't come out in the last year.
Is it a game that you know me to have played?
No.
Okay, that actually does narrow it down a lot.
So again, I don't know exhaustively what you have played, Luke, but to my knowledge, no.
It would have been something that I've spoken to you about or on the podcast while you've been present, sort of thing. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to Adrian.
Is it Super Mega Urine Wipe? No. Japanese made. Japanese. Haven't played in the last year, so it's not Sekiro. Because I've both played that and it came out in the last year. What Japanese games would have come out that are on the PC that would have gotten a 10 out of 10?
Well, that encapsulates anything that is on Switch and PC that is, Nintendo adjacent potentially.
It's not an indie title.
Not an indie
Japanese. The Japanese thing is a we got to double down on that because there's got to be some more info in there. Like, because Japanese games that score well, they usually have a particular genre, right? I don't know what that is.
Maybe we should ask if it is a game that had a later Western release to the Eastern release, sort of thing.
Yeah, but that wouldn't help us. Like, we don't know what the answer. We don't know what those are.
It might.
So just because it's not an indie doesn't mean it's AAA.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So it might be worth asking that.
Was it AAA?
Yeah.
What Japanese games are AAA?
I would say anything from Nintendo. I would say
of
some
course
Sega titles.
Like a Metal Gear Solid game.
Yeah.
What Nintendo games came out on the PC though?
Exactly. That would actually cross out a lot.
Okay, is it a Nintendo game?
As in, did Nintendo produce it, or did it come out on Nintendo? What do you mean?
Did Nintendo produce it?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
That's 10.
Oh, God.
Out of 10.
And Matt, you're up.
I'm going to ask the question I suggested. Is it a AAA game?
Yes.
Okay.
And Luke.
What are all the Japanese AAA games?
I'm thinking it could be something. I'm just going to say it. Christian, is it an Atlas game?
Wait. Remember, we only get one guess at the actual game.
I don't think that was a specific guess, was it, Luke?
Sorry. I'm saying, is it a game from Atlas?
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay, so that eliminates a few.
Back to Adrian.
Is it an RPG?
Ooh. I like the pause.
Ooh.
I'm going to say no. But I think that I don't know how much I should elaborate in a game. I should be just doing one-word answers, but it might have some RPG elements.
Well, that could be most games, so sure.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's an RPG. No.
Yeah. Okay.
AAA. All right. What do we know? AAA game.
I have a list. So it's a PC.
Okay,
It's on PC. It's not a console exclusive. It's not an indie. It is AAA. It has not been released in the last year, but it's also not a classic title. So it's not older. Made in Japan, and it's not an RPG? Question mark.
Yeah. Whose turn is to ask a question?
It's my turn.
It is Matt's turn. Yeah.
So the problem that I'm having is that my knowledge of Japanese-made games is not great. So I'm now at the point where I actually don't know what else I can ask because I've kind of hit the limits of my potential knowledge. Unless, actually, you know what? Here. Was it made by Kojima?
Yes.
Okay, well that fucking narrows it down a lot. So,
I don't know much about Kojima, unfortunately. All I know is Metal Gear Solid. I don't know much more than that.
Well, you've got the entire Metal Gear franchise. You've got Death Stranding. You've got PT, which I don't know if you count that as a game because it didn't really get reviewed in the same way. I don't think. What else?
And it doesn't kind of have RPG elements either.
Well, it kind of is.
No, not in the way Christian would be thinking. Not RPG elements.
Yeah. Oh man, what else did Kojima do? He did. Oh fuck, he did. There was some Zone of the Enders stuff that he did. I remember, but that's not super well known, like high sort of caliber games.
If we want to narrow that down very, very quickly, just ask if it's a Metal Gear Solid game.
A Metal Gear game.
If it's a Metal Gear game, yeah.
Well, actually, hang on. There's Metal Gear games and there's
franchise.
Metal Gear Solid games because they're two different eras. So maybe we could ask, is it a Metal Gear Solid game? Because that really does narrow it down.
Is it part of the Metal Gear franchise? Like,
Luke, you're asking the question.
Is it my turn? Is it? Okay, I'm going to say, is it one of the numbered Metal Gear Solid games? And by that, I mean 1 through 5.
Yes.
It is. Okay.
aha! Okay.
That's 15.
Shit.
With 5 questions. Hang on, there's 5 games. We've got 5 questions left.
That's not fair.
So what we need to do now is find a way to cut these, like slice the pie, because then that'll
All right.
give us the number of questions we need.
So we got 5 Metal Gear Solid games. We've got 5 questions.
No,
but we can't guess the name of the game.
No, there'll be
So
a
all
way
we-
to divide this because there's games where on certain platforms for a start. So and we could just divide it by years. Like we could say,
Are we just
Adrian's
overthinking it? Hang on.
We already crossed out it was a classic.
Yeah,
So,
but we know it's one of the 5. We know it's Metal Gear 1, 2, 3, or 5, right?
but if it's I would say like 1 through 3 are potentially classic games.
Well, let's hang on. We'll just thin the numbers down. Does the game end in an odd number?
I like it. That's
Sure,
great.
yes, it does.
Yeah, just play the numbers game. All right, so it's either 1, 3, or 5.
Matt.
Oh god. Okay.
We got 4 questions left, and we know it's one of 3 games. Just like ask if the game is above 2 or something.
Which ones are on PC? That's another way to work this out. Because I'm pretty confident that
No, Luke, don't deal in maybes. Just deal in numbers. Deal in absolutes. Play the game.
I actually really like this point. Okay. You know what? Is it a number above 3?
I'm gonna say yes, but also for future 20 questions games, I'm gonna ban asking specific questions about the title of the game.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, it does have a number above 3.
There's only
Luke,
one
would you like to guess the
possible
game?
Is it Metal Gear Solid 5?
How many questions have we got left?
You're on 18.
18?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be a bit tricky here.
Okay.
And I would actually like to... I'm going to dance around this a little bit just for Adrian's benefit. So...
Put me out of my misery.
No, you put us in this situation. You made us choose between 5 games.
Shit. No. All right. So I'm gonna say, was there a naked lady with photosynthesis skin in this game?
No, I don't. Oh, yes, yes. I think she has a shower at one point, so she probably does get naked.
It's all yours, Adrian.
Is it Metal Gear Solid 1?
No.
I know you're joking. Yes, it is Metal Gear Solid 5. Good guess.
Phantom Pain. Nice.
You're the Phantom Pain. Yeah, you got
my
19
God.
questions, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
Okay.
good.
Yep.
I thought I might trip you up in a few ways because it was a cross-platform game. It did come out on PS3 and Xbox 360 as well as PS4 and Xbox One. So I thought that might trip you up a bit.
So,
but
fun fact
yeah,
about this game, I have played it through to completion. I have finished it completely.
Okay.
And
I didn't know
it
that.
was actually the best Father's Day present that my wife ever gave me. So, yeah, she actually bought it for me.
There you go.
Absolutely fucking
And it was
nailed it.
it was a 10 out of 10 from IGN. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah.
10 out of 10 on GameSpot as well, I'm pretty sure. That it hit a few 10s when it released. But yeah, damn good game.
But yeah, that's 20 questions, guys. So thank you all for playing. I hope listeners enjoyed playing along too. And that comes to the conclusion of my quiz. So yay, Adrian's the winner.
Yeah.
Yay! I won with math.
With Matt.
This is why Luke lost.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. The same reason Luke couldn't put numbers next to the games is the reason he couldn't think above 3.
No. So that's entirely fair. Entirely fair. No, that was good.
We got there in the end.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 games. We haven't had many this year, I don't think, if any, actually.
No, I think upon looking at this topic, I didn't see any 10 out of 10 games from this year. There were a few last year, like IGN gave God of War, Red Dead 2, Celeste, and one more game 10 out of 10 last year. But yeah, nothing so. Oh, Undertale. They reviewed Undertale last year and gave it 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I think
there you
we're
go.
also kind of in this weird era where games that are getting to that 10 out of 10 score aren't getting reviewed because it's way after their release. So it's like, they're finally getting to that point where they could be reviewed as a 10 out of 10, but it's way after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Live service games and like ongoing games have posed like such an interesting challenge for reviews.
Yeah.
Because like the way a game is when it's released can be completely different 6 months from now. And that could be a case of like improving things and like fixing things due to criticism, or it could just be their planned progression that it was always going to go along. So it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. It's a cool topic, though. I like it. All right. Well, yeah. If you had a good run on those questions, then let us know. Be very, very keen to see what your scores were. But in the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us and give us any feedback from the episode, Adrian, I'm going to throw to you tonight. Where can people get hold of us?
You can get a hold of us via email at mail@partyloaded.com. Find us on Facebook at Partyloaded or on Twitter at PartyLoadedShow, YouTube at youtube.com/channelendgame, and Twitch, we got Twitch TV/PartyLoaded when we feel like streaming.
That's it. So really, getting hold of us, it's a piece of piss. I'm just going to say.
Oh, God.
Anyway. So, Matt, are you actually going to take another crack at No Man's Sky this week? Do you think you're up to it?
I am.
Yeah.
Like as salty as I have sounded this, I should actually say, as pissy as I've sounded this episode, I am actually keen on getting back into No Man's Sky. Like, it's flawed, but I know that there's something good beyond those flaws, right? So
Yeah. Well, hopefully by the time, you get stuck in a bit more, there's another patch or two that's cleared up a few of those dramas as well, so would be good.
hopefully.
Yeah. Gentlemen, Christian, Adrian, anything fun on this week that you want to speak to? What's going on?
No, I imagine I'll have finished Fire Emblem by next podcast, and I might be in a holding pattern until Astral Chain comes out, which is a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, we got a few things dropping real soon, actually. Like we've got, I think Control's coming very, very shortly. Borderlands 3 is just on the horizon. Gears 5 is like less than 3 weeks away. I'm kind of... After seeing a new gameplay trailer for the campaign at the Gamescom stuff, I'm actually really tempted to check that out because that looks really cool, I got to say. So, I'm not traditionally a big Gears fan, but it looks fun.
I'm not going to play any of those games.
Yeah,
but...
I'm definitely going to pick up Control. I'm super keen on that.
Yeah, that does look very, very cool. And we got all this Destiny friggin' cross-play PC migration stuff going on as well, so... Yeah.
The main reason I only put 2 hours in with No Man's Sky is because I've been trying to catch up on all my Destiny stuff before stuff ends.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of clocks counting down on that content. But
oh yeah.
Anyway, speaking of which, let's all dive off and get into some of that stuff. It's been fun chatting to everybody again. Thank you for listening to the show. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be back again with the same sort of stuff and more in 7 days' time. Until then, good night.
Night.
Bye-bye.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.